Thank you so much for joining us today for our live webinar. We're so happy to have you with us, and today we will be discussing the different aspects of invoicing. So we are going to be covering a lot of information. If you haven't already, we have created a PDF handout for you to print, and you can follow along, take notes, and write down any questions that you have. The first area that we're going to be talking about is personal use and business supplies. We're going to go over how to use the two different accounts and how to invoice them. We'll also be discussing the different discount options, how to initiate an invoice within Boulevard, different invoice types you can choose from, as well as the invoice tabs and going over the format of the actual invoice itself. A few weeks ago, we also did a rewards program webinar if you joined us for that. Today we're going to be showing you how to redeem those reward points on the invoices. And then we're also going to be discussing the product collections, product prepacks, and how to use gift certificates on invoices, and then covering payments. So a lot of information is going to be covered. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you print out that PDF handout so you can follow right along with us. If you're having any issues seeing the screen, what you're going to do is click on the screen settings and you're going to choose 100% and full screen. This should clear up any issues with the clarity. If you're still having issues seeing the screen clearly after those options are selected, you can call the number listed here and they will provide you with some support to get you set up. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the webinar. Kelly's going to be doing a demonstration for us in the Boulevard program, and we'll also be going through a few slides. So sit back and enjoy the webinar on how to create custom invoicing.
Thanks, Ashley. So the first area that we're going to go over today is creating or having personal use and business supply profiles. Now, the advantage to having a personal use profile along with a business supply profile is to allow for grouping of different types of invoices for tax preparation at the end of the year, so that your personal use is all under one grouping and your business supplies are under a separate grouping. And you only need to have one business supply profile created for handling everything from Section 1 items being pulled out of your inventory for demonstration, gifts that you are giving to unit events or to charity, a women's shelter, or any expired product, any of those business-related expense situations that you're trying to pull inventory, Section 1 inventory out of your on-hand amounts, can all be done under the same business supply profile. I'll go into that more specifically and show you how to create an actual business supply invoice for the different situations in just a minute. But first, when you're setting up that business supply profile, you would go ahead, and we recommend just calling it business supply. And by doing that, when you've created the invoice, you're going to click on the Settings button, and you'll notice under the Sales Settings, you have a discount type now with Boulevard 2017. Now, I've already created this business supply customer and set it to the business supplies discount type, but what it will automatically default as is standard discount. So you would just go ahead and choose the business supply discount. When I do that, some of these other settings are going to change automatically for me. Invoice follow-up to 0 days, 50% discount, and so forth. So once I have the profile settings saved, I would go ahead and click OK, and then it's going to prompt me again to save the profile, so I would go ahead and save it. And then I'm actually ready to create an invoice for that business supply. But before I get into that, I'm going to go back into and show the different types of discount types that are standard in Boulevard 2017. So there's the standard discount, then you also have personal use, which in the Canadian version is labeled as own use. and in the Canadian version, there's also a native Indian discount type. And then we also have hostess credit, birthday anniversary, and that business supply discount. Now you notice in my demo, I have added a couple of other discount types. You can create your own discount types. And to do this, you'd click on the ellipsis button in the discount type field, and you can click on the very next blank row and add the additional discount type. Now when you OK it, you can then choose it from the pick list here. And again, you just click OK and then save the profile if you've made additional changes on the profile. So that is the different types of default discounts that you can apply to each profile in Boulevard. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a business supply invoice, and there are several different ways in Boulevard to initiate an invoice. If I have the profile selected or the name selected, I can choose to click the invoice button from the toolbar. I can choose to click it from the main toolbar, and you'll also notice that the arrow here highlights. That means that there's a drop-down option. I can choose to create a historical invoice, and a historical invoice is going to add all of the sales information and do everything that a new invoice does, except for the fact that it's not going to pull the on-hand quantities, or it will not subtract out of my current on-hand amounts. And then another way is if you have your shortcuts set up, you can click Create New Invoice and it will generate a new invoice. And also, if I have my customer list closed, so I don't have any contacts selected, if I click any of the invoice buttons, it's going to bring a contact lookup form. Now this allows me to begin generating the invoice and just start searching for the customer or consultant or address contact that I'm trying to invoice. So I can go ahead and we're going to just choose, start typing, and what it's going to do is drill down and allow me to start invoicing. I can click OK and then it will generate an invoice. Now if it didn't find the contact, you can additionally start adding the customer profile here. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that, and the method that I'm going to use is I'm going to actually go into the profile to show you another couple of ways to create an invoice. You'll notice on each profile in the toolbar now has a new invoice button along with the option again to do a historical invoice. And then lastly, you can also choose to add products from their previous purchase history. And this is my business supply customer, so normally I probably wouldn't use this method, but we're going to go ahead and do it this time. So I would go ahead and choose whatever items they are reordering and select them. Now I can click the Add button and either choose to add it to a new auto delivery if this was a customer and they're adding these products to an auto delivery, or if I click Add to New Invoice, what it's going to do is generate a new invoice and automatically add those items that are being reordered. So those are the different ways to begin creating an invoice for your customers. So using this example as a business supply, if I'm trying to pull these items off my inventory for demonstration purposes or for whatever other reason, I would go ahead and create the invoice. Now, what I want to do is if this invoice is going to be used for instance, we're going to we're going to give these to a charity. What I would do is click on the Discount tab, and you'll notice that because this was already marked as a business supply customer, that the sale was marked as business supply, and the discount type shows up as business supply. Now I can choose the expense category just like that, and when I finalize this invoice, I would then automatically have an expense entry created for me. So everything is taken care of. The product is pulled off my shelf out of my inventory quantities, and and given the 50% discount so that it doesn't show that you made any profit on it. It's just removing it from your inventory, as well as the expense of the cost of the product. And that's the quickest way to invoice for your business supply customer. Now, alternatively, if this was a personal use invoice, I would be invoicing my personal use here. And you'll notice that the personal use sale type populates. Now, by doing this, again, this gives me the option to either omit the personal use invoices from the weekly accomplishment sheet. So when I'm sending my weekly accomplishment sheet to my director, you can choose to not include those. As well as you will have the option to either include them or exclude them for your gross receipts report for tax purposes at the end of the year. So it's another way to be able to keep those sales separate so that you can pull them individually from the rest of your sales. So now I'm going to go ahead and go into the different types of invoices. There are several different sale types in Boulevard. In fact, we are going to be releasing a service release in the next couple of days that will adjust these just ever so slightly. The sale type Easy Ship Guest will actually just be relabeled to Guest Checkout, and CDS will be known as Easy Ship. And that's just to align more closely to what Mary Kay calls those sale types. Now, there are, like I said, several different types of sale types to choose from. When you choose either Easy Ship or the guest checkout, you'll notice that a product order tab appears, which allows you to put more information to account for the sales tax from Section 2 and the shipping amount that was charged. We are going to go ahead and choose a reorder, and I'm going to add some products onto the invoice, and you'll notice that you can type a partial description and it will drill down and allow you to pick from the list. Or another option is if you click the lookup button, you can do the same thing where you type in a partial description, and it's going to drill down and allow you to either drag and drop the item, or you can double click and it will appear, or you can click on the item and then select the add button and it will add it to the invoice. And then you'll also notice that there is a history tab. This is that same history, product purchase history that's on the customer's profile. So you can choose, again, to drag and drop, or you can double click to bring it over, and that will add the items to the invoice. Then we have additional options here. You can choose to delete, You can update the note or add a note. Now, if you have a standard note set in preferences, that will appear here, and you can either change that note or add to it, or you can completely remove that note and add a different note, and it will change it for just this one invoice. And then lastly here, or actually we have the import button. If you have those easy ship or guest checkout or any of the CDS orders out on InTouch, you can import those into Boulevard using the import button. And if you are tracking rewards, you'll also have the rewards button here, and you can choose to use those rewards. If they are using all of the rewards, you can click the check mark and it will redeem all of the points. Or if only part of the points are being redeemed, you can type in the amount that's going to be redeemed, and then when you click OK, you'll notice down under the Details tab there is a separate line item for reward discount listed here. So that's the buttons on the right hand side. Additionally, you can choose to email and or print copies of the invoice once you finalize it. Now over to the top of the invoice, you can choose whether you want the status bar, which is shows the previous balance, new balance, and reward points. Now the reward points and rewards button will appear only if you are actually tracking rewards, and those would be set under the edit menu, settings, and rewards. You would just want to ensure that track rewards is set. So this status bar, going back to that, this status bar can be at the top of the invoice, or you can move it to the bottom. Now to move it to the bottom, you'll notice that there are vertical dots. You just hover your mouse over the vertical dots, and when you get the arrow across, you just click on it and drag it, hold it down, drag it, and then release it at the bottom, just like that, and it'll now appear at the bottom of the invoice. So you can choose whether you have it at the top or at the bottom. Now, the next area of the invoice that I'd like to go over is the different tabs at the bottom. So we briefly talked about the reward discount. Now on this side is the payment information. If they are paying the invoice in full, you can click the check mark next to their payment method, and what that's going to do is pay it in full. Or if they're just making a partial payment, you can just enter the amount that they are paying here. And then you can also enter a memo at the bottom here. Now, any information in this memo field, new to 2017, once you finalize this invoice, it will actually appear under their accounts and invoices tab listed here. So when I'm finished processing this invoice, anything that I type here is going to appear here. Then you have your discounts listed, as well as your tax, and whether you want to have it set by percentage or if you want to enter a flat amount. The tax rate information comes from your preferences, unless you set a different tax rate under this customer's profile. And then the next tab is the discount tab, which we showed earlier, and you can set the discount type as well as the discount amount. Now you can choose one or the other, so you can either have all of your discounts be in the format of a percentage, or you can do it in a flat dollar amount. Now, if you've set any line item discounts, like for instance, this item has a 10% discount, then I need to only use the percent discount down below here. If I want to add an additional 10% off the entire invoice, I would do that. Otherwise, and it will then change it here. Otherwise, if I want to do a flat dollar amount, I would change that, and I can do a flat amount here, but then these, even though it shows 10%, it would actually not be calculating any percentage. So one or the other can be set. And then the next tab is this shipping and delivery. Allows you to ship to a different address than what is set under the customer's main profile tab, as well as adding a trip log entry for items or invoices that are going to be delivered. Then the weekly accomplishment tab. You can enter information here that will be transferred to the weekly accomplishment sheet. And if you have chosen this as a sale type of class, you'll notice that the hostess name field is now available to enter. We suggest that you make sure that you enter information as far as the time spent, calls, guests, all of that under one invoice only when you are invoicing for a class. Boulevard also links the class invoices together using the hostess name, so you want to make sure that you type that hostess name exactly the same way on each invoice, along with the date. So you'd want to make sure that you choose the same date. And those are the different tabs of the invoice itself. Now, moving on to the main area of the invoice, first you'll note that there are some different colors going on here. The aqua or cyan color means that I don't have any of these items in stock. And if you track back orders, then when you finalize this invoice, those items linked to this customer will be placed into your back order product. And when you enter or import a inventory order, Boulevard will prompt you that you have back orders that need to be fulfilled. And then the last color is the green color, which means that you're down to your last item. So you're selling your last one that you have in stock. And it's just a quick prompt to let you know, hey, I need to place an order for those items. Each column, there are this part number column, you have the description column, and then the next is the sale type or the type column, and there are several different options to choose from. The default is sale, and you can then choose from the drop down the different options, which would be if you want to track when you give a sample so that it places that customer into your calendar to follow up with them. You can choose sample on your section 2 items. And then the next option is gift. And with 2017, when you choose gift for a section 1 item, Boulevard knows that what you're meaning to do or what you're wanting to do is to give a 100% discount on that section 1 item so that it handles it properly for taxes for you. Now, if you choose gift on a section 2 item, what it'll do is just clear out the price so that the customer doesn't see the cost of that section 2 item. And then the last two options are returns. So the first is return to MK, and that's for items that do actually need to be returned to the company. And when you do select that option after you finish the invoice, those items will be moved into your product replacements form, and you can initiate a return and print out the return form to go out to InTouch and actually place a return product order. And then the final return option is return to inventory. If you know the item has not been used and you want to return it to your inventory, you can choose the return inventory option. And we've gone over the discount field, so you can give line item discounts. You also have a day code field. Now this is great to use for items that you are shipping from your inventory to a customer, maybe an item that they've never purchased before, so it's a different formula, different shade, different fragrance. And by putting that day code in initially, if they need to return it for any reason, then you have that day code right away and you can see that. And then lastly, the product is for column. This column is what we refer to as the mother-daughter feature, and it allows you to specify who this product needs to be put in their product history. So if I'm Jocelyn Daly is purchasing the item, but it's actually going to Isabella Berry, I can type her name, choose it, and when the invoice is finished, this item, the facial highlighting pen, will actually go under Isabella Berry's product history so that you can see she's the one that's actually using the item. So those are all the different fields on the invoice, and we've also covered the reward redemptions. The next area that I'd like to go over is going to be product collections. So product collections are package or bundles or baskets, anything that you want to group together that have things that always stay the same, but then also have variable items that you won't know the actual specific product until the customer purchases it. So maybe it's a shade of lipstick, or the color of the mineral cheek, or any of those variable items. These also are great because when you are conducting or hosting a holiday open house and you have all of these gift baskets and bundles created, you can have one line item be invoiced for this basket or collection and add additional amounts to cover the cost of the packaging or wrapping or mugs or whatever else you're including in the collection. And the customer's only going to see the one price, not all the individual prices that make up that collection. And then the next benefit to using a collection is it helps prompt you to choose the different items that make up that collection. So you also have the ability to invoice prepacks. Now the difference between a collection and a prepack is that prepacks they're only filled with constants. So no matter who purchases it, the items inside that grouping stays the same. And the example I've given on the screen is the MK High Intensity Ocean set. So it includes the hair and body wash, the cologne, and the beach towel. No matter who purchases it, it's all the same. So you can add, if you package it up and put it in a beach bag or something, you can add the additional amount for the cost of that bag, but the customer's not going to see it. They're only going to see the set itself. Okay, so we're going to go into Boulevard, and I'm going to show you exactly how to invoice the collections. And you can, for more information on creating those collections, definitely visit our support center. We have instructions on how to do that, detailed instructions. And if you're on the product update service, we actually create new product collections and pre-packs every quarter that you can optionally load as well. So I'm going to use the example that was on the previous slide, the mini compact complete set. And again, this is just one option. You can create your own collection. So the mini compact complete set that I have has the variable items are 3 eye colors and 1 cheek color. But if you wanted to create a different one that included all eye colors, you could do so. So I'm going to go ahead and type in a partial description. And when I go onto a new row or arrow down, it's then going to prompt me to fill that collection. So I have the different items that are staying the same no matter who's purchasing it. Then I would go ahead and choose the items that need to be picked out for that individual customer. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick a couple. Just like that. And then choose the cheek color. Now I would finalize the invoice, and you'll notice that it comes up with just the one price. We're going to go ahead and mark that paid. And when I finish the invoice, and I can choose to add my deluxe mini, when I finish the invoice, the actual printed copy of the customer's invoice will only display the price of the mini compact complete set, but you'll see the items that are also included in the set. So it's a great way to be able to, like I said, include additional amounts for extra packaging that you're including in that set. This portion of the webinar going over gift certificates has been re-recorded to add a new enhancement to the gift certificates, handling them on invoices and in the program to make it even easier. We wanted to make sure that those that have Boulevard 2017 get that extra special enhancement, and so we've re-recorded this portion and included that. So you'll want to make sure that you have downloaded the most recent version of Boulevard 2017, and you'll know that you have the new enhanced gift certificate feature if when you start to create a product for the gift certificate, that the gift certificate checkbox is included on the form. So go to our website to download that, and then you can start using gift certificates. So what I want to talk about is the two different ways to handle gift certificate part numbers first. So the option 1 with image 1 allows you to set the price of the gift certificate at the time of the sale. So when you're creating the product, you'll set the retail cost at 0. Again, you'll want to make sure that you mark the item as a gift certificate. And you'll also want to make sure that the taxable field is not checked. In option 2, you can set the denomination for the gift certificate ahead of time. So in this example, I have created a $25 gift certificate and set the cost for that ahead of time. Now by doing this, this allows me to track how many quantities I'm selling for specific denominations. And this can be useful if you want to know which denomination you're selling more of. This also allows you to create a product sales event and add these specific denominations. So maybe, for instance, you would like to run a special and allow customers to earn additional reward points on gift certificate purchases. So those are a couple of options of how to handle the gift certificate part number itself. With either option, you just want to make sure that the taxable field is not checked, and the reason is because these are basically prepayments for purchases in the future, and that you also want to make sure that the gift certificate checkbox is set. Now, by doing that gift certificate checkbox, what it's going to do is allow you to pull up a report that we've created that you can see how many dollar value of gift certificates you've sold, as well as how many gift certificates have been redeemed, again, in dollar values. So by having that separate gift certificate checkbox allows for that. So now I'm going to go in and into Boulevard, and we're going to actually sell a gift certificate. So let's go ahead and choose a customer. Okay, and we're going to create an invoice. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the set denomination example. Now I've added that item to the invoice. What I also want to do, and this is just for additional tracking, is in the memo field, I'm going to reference the gift certificate. Now, if you know who the gift certificate is going to, you can enter their name here. And what this is going to do is this is just a quick reference that when you're finished with the invoice, this memo will be displayed in Jocelyn Daly's, who's my example, in her account tab on her profile. Now, if I didn't know who the gift certificate was going to, I could put recipient unknown, just like that. Now, optionally, I can also choose, if I know who it's going to, I can put the product is for and specify who it's going to. Now by doing that, this gift certificate, the line item, will not show up under the purchaser's product history, but it would show up in the recipient's product history. So you just need to decide whose product history do you want that gift certificate shown up in. Now, a thing to note as far as the physical gift certificate, we recommend that you reference the invoice number on the gift certificate, and this is just as another double checking system so that when the gift certificate is redeemed, you have something to go by and can reference when that gift certificate was sold. So I'm going to go ahead and process this invoice. We're just going to go ahead and mark it as cash. Now, when the gift certificate is being redeemed, what you'd want to do is enter the product like you normally would, whatever items she's purchasing. And if she is not using the entire amount, what you would do is put in that the gift certificate was being redeemed as a note, And then we recommend putting the new balance not only on the physical gift certificate, but also on the note as well. So you'd go ahead and enter that there. Now, by doing it here as well, it's going to then print out on that customer's invoice. And I'm going to go ahead and bold it. So I'm going to go ahead and add the note not only onto the physical gift certificate, but in this note section here so that it prints on their invoice as well as having it on the gift certificate itself. So I'm going to put gift certificate redeemed, and then I'm going to put the new balance of the gift certificate. And I'm going to go ahead and bold it. Just like that. So it will print on their physical gift certificate. And I'm also going to go ahead and put gift certificate redeemed. This is so that it shows up in the memo field on their account so that I have a quick reference. And I'm going to put the original invoice number that was used. Just like that. Now, you'll notice to actually apply the gift certificate, there is a new field here. So I would go ahead and put in $14.58. And so that is showing that $14.58 was used as a gift certificate. Now, using this same example, if they were using the entire gift certificate plus some, so let's go ahead and add another item. So their total now is more than the $25 gift certificate. What I would do is enter the gift certificate amount here, and then I would put in the additional amount that they're paying, either by cash check or credit card. So we're going to go ahead and say that they're paying by cash. Just like that. And then you're finished. So this allows you to specify that part of the payment was used with a gift certificate and the other portion of the payment was either a cash check or credit card if they used credit card. And that's all that you need to do for gift certificates. Now, another thing to note is by doing it this way, again, you can then see, I'm going to go ahead and show you when I finalize this invoice. If I go up to Business Tools and Reports, I now have a gift certificate transactions report, and I can pull it up and put in the specified date range. I'm going to go ahead and choose, we'll just go ahead and choose July. And it's going to let me know who I sold gift certificates to, if any were returned, that will note as well as the redemptions, which is great. So you know how many gift certificates you've sold, how many are out there, and how many have been redeemed. So the last area that we're going to focus on is actually posting customer payments. When you have a customer that has made a payment at the time of the sale, you know that you can post it in the invoice itself. Now, if it happens after the fact, there are several different ways to begin creating or posting a payment to the customer's account. I'm going to go ahead and choose Lily Collins since she has an account balance. and I can actually see the account balance here on the list if I have it displayed. So I would go ahead and select her from the list, and then you'll notice there is a payment button. I can click the payment button, and that will bring up the payment form. Or I can right-click on her name and choose Account Balance. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring up her profile and go to the Accounts and Invoices tab. What I can do from there is click the Add button, the little Add button there, or I can choose to click the Payment button from her specific profile toolbar. So I can click there, and it brings up the same exact form, the payment form. Now all I have to do is enter the payment type. If she's paying it in full, I can click the check mark, and that will pay the account in full. If she is just making a payment, you can just specify the payment, as well as if you're posting it to a specific invoice number, and any other additional information depending on whether it is a check or credit card payment. And those are the different ways to post a payment to an individual customer's account. Now, if I need to clear multiple account balances, like for instance, I have some people in green that show that they have a credit, and I know that those are inaccurate, that I need to just clear those out. What I would do is on the left-hand sidebar, under the new filter sidebar, I would choose from the account status drop-down whichever account you're looking for. So if it's a balance owing, then you can choose account balance, and you can even specify how much. If it's any account balance, then you would just click off the account status field and you'll see everybody that owes you. Or in this case, I want to know who all shows an account credit balance, and then I can see who has a credit. I can select them, and by selecting them, then I can click the payment button. Now when I have multiple accounts selected and then click the payment button, what Boulevard's going to do is ask you, do you want to clear the account balance for any of the customers that I have selected? If I say yes, then what it's going to do is it's going to remove them from this filter because they no longer have an account credit balance. So if I then go back and choose no filter, then I will see them here, but they no longer have a credit showing. So their account has been cleared of any balance. So those are the different ways to post payments when a customer pays after the fact.
Thank you, Kelly, so much for going over all of that information. We know that there's quite a bit of information listed there. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to send us an email. You can email us, comment on Facebook, or send us a tweet using the hashtag Invoicing, and we will give your question top priority. We will get back to you as soon as we receive it. So make sure that you send those questions in, because we do want to make sure we cover all the information that you have questions about. We do have an upcoming webinar where we will be discussing customer management. We'll be covering everything from the profiles, checklists, moving profiles between the different lists, filters and settings, and much more regarding your customer management. So please like us on Facebook to receive more details about those future webinars for dates and times and what webinars we'll be featuring in the next few months. We really appreciate you guys joining us today and hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. And again, please send us your questions because we're ready to answer them. So again, thank you for joining us. Make sure you join us for the next one and have a fantastic day.